Okay, hey all, Modin here, also known as Direfang on Ghostlands US. I'm here to talk about a simple add-on called Pawn. Now, Pawn is a tool that many people use to compare gear to make an informed decision on whether the one item is better than the other. Typically, when you get an item drop, uh, you look at it and you're like, is this good for me? Item level's better than my currently equipped. It's good. It's got to be good. It's not necessarily the truth because now here in Legion, item levels can can be misleading. You might find a piece of gear that's a higher item level than what you have, but it may not have the right stats or anything like that that will improve your game. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to use Pawn to make some decisions ourselves based off the stat weights that we get. Now we're going to use SimulationCraft to get the stat weights, and with those stat weights, we're going to make a better, more informed decision on whether a piece of gear is better or if we should just, vendor it or disenchant it or whatever, or give it to somebody else that might be able to use it if you're using personally. So, Pawn can be used straight out of the box with the stat weights that they've gotten. They've gotten some stat weights from a website called Ask Mr. Robot. If you're not familiar with that, go out to askmrrobot.com. You might like it, you might not, whatever. They work, those stat weights work, but we're going to get some custom weights out of SimulationCraft just to be a little bit more accurate with the decisions we make. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I will go ahead and put a link in the info below the video where you can download Pawn from Curse. Now, if you want to download it manually, install it, you can use the Curse client to automatically install it, or you can get it from somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you know how to install an add-on. If you don't, there's plenty of places out there you can figure that out. Let's go ahead and move on to the crunchy bits of using Pawn. Now, once you have Pawn installed, you're going to need to know how to open it up. I open it up using the command /pawn in my chat window. Okay, they say there's an icon. I have a customized UI, so I don't know where the icon's at. Probably should, but it's okay. I use slash commands. All right. So what you're going to do is once you call up Pawn using the /pawn command, you're going to come up into this screen. Now you're going to see all these scales over here. These scales are basically weights that they've gotten from Ask Mr. Robot. Okay, I have one in here that we'll be using here in a bit. But you'll see default scales for my tune Direfang. I'm a druid, and it's going to show me the different scales that I can use for the different specs. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some specs from, or some scales from SimulationCraft, and put them in into Pawn here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Pawn, or actually SimulationCraft, and here we are in SimulationCraft. Okay, you're going to load into a welcome screen, right? You can go through here if you're not really familiar with SimulationCraft. I'm not going to go over a whole lot of SimulationCraft here. Basically what we're doing is we're going to run one simulation, get some stat weights so we can put into Pawn and have a little better stat weights. Okay, first thing you're going to do is you're going to come over here to import, and you're going to go ahead and select the server that you're on, type in your character. We'll go ahead and import Direfang. When that comes up, it's going to pop you into the Simulate tab with Direfang, right? I'm going to close that one out because I already have one loaded. And this is what your tune, this is what it ports into your tune. It's going to have your gear, it's going to have the different actions that your spec would use. There's a lot of other things in here that we're not really going to worry about. What we wanted is we wanted to make sure we had our tune, so it's got our stats, it's got our gear, and everything. From this page, you can go down to the right-hand corner, and you'll see a button called Simulate. We don't want to do that yet. We want to go ahead and make sure some options are set in the Scaling tab. Now, when you come over to Options, you're going to come into the globals, but we want to go over to Scaling, and we want to make sure that Enable Scaling is selected. So we go ahead and select that, and we can skip the scaling options if you're interested in doing that. That's fine. You can use it. You can use the defaults. We're going to use the defaults today. And then you're going to want to come down here and toggle all the character stats. Now, you may be playing a mage, and you really don't care about strength or agility or whatever. that's fine. Go ahead and click the toggle all character stats because it's only going to run simulations for the relevant stats for your class. For instance, like here in the comment here, it says agility and intellect will be skipped for a warrior even if they are checked. So tag them all. It's not going to tag latency, but we don't need that. And then go ahead and hit your simulate. It will take a little while. I'm not going to run that right now. I've got some results already, and we're going to call those results up right here. Now you can see Direfang, oh boy, he's supposed to be doing 324k DPS. That doesn't happen. No. This is a simulation that in a perfect world where you do everything right. I obviously don't do everything right. But anyway, that's more information than you guys really want to know. But here, what we're looking for is under the result spec and gear, we're looking for the scale factors for Direfang, right? What we're looking for in here is the pawn string that we get. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this pawn string, including the parentheses, and do a Control-C to copy that string out. Basically, it's going to, this is what they call a scale tag. And it's a tag that you will paste into pawn to transfer these scale factors that are listed up here into pawn, so we can make some decisions. All right, so we go ahead and we hit Control-C on that, and then we'll go ahead and switch back over to wow. Okay, so now we're in pawn. We go to the scale tab. You'll load into the compare tab, but we're going to go to the scale tab, and this is what it'll look like first. It's going to do an automatic and basically just show the scalings for the default spec that you're in. We don't want to do that. We want to use some manual scales, so we're going to come over here. All right, how you do that, you come over here and you see all these goofy scales over here. Now, if you look under these buttons here, we're going to do a share your scale. We're going to import the string that we just copied out, right? And then we'll go ahead and hit OK. I've already got it pasted in here, so we'll just go ahead and skip that. But you'll hit OK, it'll feed you in, and it'll kick you over to this page. This page actually shows you where you can actually modify the weights in the scale. So let's say you decide you want to make agility way more because you want to make sure that the more agility you have, the more points it's going to basically give to you based on that difference between one item and another. You can modify those by just coming in here and going, you know, one agility is worth 12 points, or let's say we don't agree with that, we're going to use 13 points, right? We can do that, and then we can change it up. I'm going to go ahead and switch that back to 12 because I don't trust my weighting. You can change them. I don't claim any responsibility for any erroneous data you get if you go in here and mess with these weights. You know more about it if you're messing with weights than I do. So, but once you got that and you have your scale selected, then let's go back to the compare tab. All right, this is where most of the work for pawn is done. First off, we're going to talk about the tooltips that that pawn will give you. All right, and you'll see here where this piece of gear that I got earlier tonight is an upgrade for me. Yeah, it's definitely a higher item level than my currently equipped, right? And you can see all these changes down here where it says, if you replace this item, the following stat changes will occur. And you see a lot of green on there. Ooh, yeah, great. Perfect. But if you look over in the Otherworldly Leather Mantle towards the bottom, right? I don't know if I can keep this. I don't know how to keep the tool tab up. But you'll see down there where it'll say Balance, up arrow, 12% upgrade. Feral, up arrow, 21% upgrade. Guardian, 7. Resto, 42%. Those entries are added in by the pawn application. Basically, that's a quick and dirty, yeah, this is an upgrade over what you have equipped, right? So why do we have this screen? Well, this screen allows us to do, this gives us a better picture of why it says it's a 20 or a 12 or a 47 or a frickin' whatever. If a piece of gear is not an upgrade for you, it won't have entries in there like this this trinket here, this tempered egg of Serpentrix. It's not an upgrade for me, so I don't see any entries in there saying a spec is a positive increase, right? I don't see that on any of this other gear that I have. in my inventories. All right. So what we're doing is let's go ahead and compare those shoulders with what I have equipped. Now there's a couple different methods that we can move this item into the window. Pawn actually will try to bind your left and right brace, the square parentheses, the braces. It'll automatically bind those to the left, the left slot. If you hit the left brace, the open brace, it'll put an item in there, and if you hit the right brace, it'll put it in here. Or you can just drop the item in there. Okay. Now you see, I dropped it in the right-hand side, and it automatically populated the left-hand side with the item I have equipped. Right. Now, if you drop it in the left-hand side, it's not going to give you any comparison because it's only going to show you the equipped gear if this slot is empty when you drop an item in. So if we drop it there, well, actually, let's clear that out. Do that again. Drop it in here. It shows us what we have equipped and what we're comparing it to, and then it will give us our breakdown. Now, these breakdowns are basically built off of the stats. The agility on the Amis of the Enlightened is 866, or 886. So it's going to populate that in there. It basically calculates 8 to 86 at 12 points per, so it's going to give it a number. All right, and it's going to go through each stat, whether it exists on either item. Agility on the otherworldly leather mantle, 1119. And it's going to show you the difference. You've seen this number back in the comparison. When we had the comparison up, it says if you replace this item, your agility will go up 233 points. Very simple. But what we're really interested in is this number down here. So after it goes through and does its calculations for this item, it totals it up and it gives you a 17.4K total. Now we do the total over on the otherworldly mantle, and we see that our total is 20.9. That's a 3,500 increase over the point value for the Amis of the Enlightened. All right, and it figures out the percentage, 20% increase for this current scale, and that's why you see over here it's rounding it up. It might be a 20.6 or 20.7. You'll see for my feral upgrade, this is a 21% upgrade. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and equip them. Cool, good. All right, so let's say you have a ring, right? Let's go ahead and drop this ring in, and you'll notice that you have. Now it kicked me up here, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But I go ahead and drop this in, and you'll see that it'll calculate for the first ring that's in my character, right? The first ring in my character is the 870 Mindred band, right? Figures it out. It says 13.5, band of fused coral, 12.7. Obviously, that's a better idea, or that's a better item, okay? And you can also switch between the rings. Here's my other equipped ring. Right down here, simple. You don't have to come over and drag it. You can, but you don't have to. All right. Now, it kicked me up to balance, Druid balance, because it knows that these scales are possible for Direfang, right? And it noticed that it's an upgrade for that, right? Well, not the Grubby Silver, but when I had the Mendrin band in here, it was an upgrade. For these other specs, it's not. So basically, it's telling me, you know, based on the scale that I'm using to make my decision, that's not an upgrade for my current spec. But it also highlighted that balance. If I ever want to play balance, this ring will be better than the Mindrin band for balance. Not for the Grubby Silver ring, but for the Mindrin band, it would be good to switch these items out. That's handy information. So if I'm ever going to play balance, I should probably keep this ring around. It'll automatically kick you up there and show you if it is an upgrade for a spec that it has in its system. Caveat. All of these specs they're simple numbers that are trying to help you make an educated guess on whether a piece of gear is good for you. Don't take everything at face value. Look at the items, look at the scales. If it's a 2% upgrade, can probably do without it. You know, yeah, it's a 2% upgrade for balance, but not for nothing else. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Mind Rend Band. Even if I were to switch to balance, I'd probably just stick with the Mind Rend Band so I don't have just a bunch of gear hanging out in my inventory because it works good in a different spec. I don't even know if it's good for balance because I didn't run my simulation as a balance druid. So we can also feed into SimulationCraft if I was a balance druid, and it would go ahead and calculate out my weights, and they could be completely different than the Ask Mr. Robot balance scales here. So, I mean, use it, but be educated in knowing that this isn't the end-all be-all of all of the decisions you're ever going to make on gear. Use it as a tool. Tools help you finish jobs. They don't do the job for you. Okay? Let's go ahead and move on. You'll see, and this is what's interesting, and this really highlights the whole item level disparity issue that causes people to equip every item level increase that they get, and then they wonder why they're not getting better. This highlights that. The Band of Fused Coral is an 845 item, right? My Mind Rend Band is an 870. Now, if I was a balanced druid and this was my proper scale, I'd be like, whoa, this item with a lower item level is actually better for me than the higher item level. So that's why you can't just look at item level and say, oh, this is better. Oh, this isn't better, right? So take it with a grain of salt. Go hit the targeting dummy. Go run a LFR. Go do something with the different items if you're worried about a change, and look and see how it affects your game. Everybody plays this game differently. I play it like a shitty druid. Other people, they're awesome. Perfect. You're always going to want to verify everything that any ad or any add-on tells you. It's that whole trust it, but also do a verification on it. Trust but verify. All right. So really, I think that was pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there any questions you have? Go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If I have given anybody the wrong information, or you feel that you can elaborate on it better, knock it out. You know, send me a message. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, let me know what I did wrong. I'm new at this. Give me a break. Other than that, everybody have a great night. I'll see you on the flip side.